afternoon, sir. All of that protocol serious. Dr. Biodun, I work with myself.
Thank you.
I want to take it off from where you stopped just now, sir. Mr. Ayo, I think I'm right. Yes. When he was talking, he was saying something like, what will his children, what will they inherit? What will he pass on to them? And I want to say, the mothers of these days, we have a lot of job to do in reviving the culture of Nigeria.
Of Nigeria?
Of the Yoruba culture, excuse me. I'm so sorry. I withdraw that.
Because Nigeria has no culture.
The Yoruba culture. I had the privilege of meeting a young man and his wife. He came with 2 little boys. And the boys, when they came into the hall, were like, good afternoon. And I had a boost, drink properly. And they stretched out. That they didn't do the dobale properly.
Oh, they didn't do it well. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Alright.
What the boys did was, good afternoon. And I had a boost from the back. And the 2 of them stretched out. That is where to start from. But we have grown to the point that when our children get up in the morning, I have 3 girls. When you get up in the morning, you do your 2 needs to say good morning, mommy. And I come to your room to say good morning while you're still in bed. But once you are up, you come to my room or wherever I am on your 2 needs, good morning, mommy. And that's the way they were brought up. My children will not see an old man sitting down and standing up, and you have a seat. Whose child are you? So I think it should actually start from the home. And then I want to say this. Dog Commission, I come from a background where we talk of policy papers. Do you package something about these conversations to the government that are funding this commission? Because it's of no use that if we come here and we do all these talks and it doesn't get back to the government. I know this is aired on DCOS, but do they get aired on the other stations of these other states? Because, like someone said, we need to do a lot of propaganda if we want to get to where we're going. And I also want to say this: can this be kind of thing? Can it be given to a wider audience? How do the Yoruba speaking, the non-English speaking parents, women and men, who will implement? Because if you train only the air soldiers and you don't train your foot soldiers in the war, you can't get to where you're going. The people that will implement and make these things work, that will work it out, they need to be trained. So how do you put it on jingles? I found out now the Yellow Jazz, all of them, they listen to the radio now. The Yoruba 9 to 10 news. Everybody wants to hear. So the people are coming up. The people are, now you can hear the average market woman talking about piping the... Yes, it doesn't happen like that before. So the people are becoming more aware. Let us push these things into the system. Let them hear it. Even the Bible says it. Write the vision and make it plain that they may run. So let us find a way of pushing these things out to the people who work it out. We need to start from there. There are young girls here. Make up your mind when I have my children. It's not the era of you meet somebody who is as old as your mom. Doing like this. I tell them, drink properly. Let us start it from there. And then I want to ask this question. I was trying to ask the young man beside me. I said, do you know the difference between a job and a zuzu?
Yeah, I didn't mention the ajo thing. Yeah, I should have. Okay.
And then?
Ajo is simpler. Ajo is somebody stands up in community. Usually some retired old man or woman. and says, young people in this area, I am home to help, and you can bring, a job to me. We will record it in the traditional way. And at particular times in the year, you can take your job. So that's individual, simpler than the issue. What some of our people did earlier on in the last century, was to take the matter to the marketplace. So appoint a large job who will come around and collect your job and call it down. And then you can take your money later from the central something. That's different. The SISU is more organized, more reliable, based on very solid arrangement. That's all. That's the difference.
Then, sir, you said something about there were no plumbers. When there were no plumbers in Nigeria, when the ship were to be cleaned out, is it because the plumbers that we have in Nigeria, they were not certified?
Yeah, you say you are a plumber and the people employing you want to put you through some test before, and you cannot handle the basic plumbing duties. So you are not a plumber, as far as they are concerned.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Yoruba. I work for Slash FM. Sir, I'm actually trying to reconcile the Yoruba that you painted with the Yoruba that I knew. No offense, they are also Yoruba. But I think that the Yoruba race that I grew up to know is very hypocritical and suspicious. I'll give you examples. They say you prepare food for yourself, and then someone shows up unexpectedly, and then you say radio, and the person is really hungry, and then you expect the person to say share papiri or something like that, and if the person now decides to be sincere because he's hungry and says, okay, fine, let me eat, and then you think in your mind and be like, I like that kind of thing. So for as little as those things might seem, I think it's traits of hypocrisy. It doesn't give room for sincerity. You talk about collaborations and all of that. Now talking about suspicion. The Yoruba person is naturally suspicious. Even in the family, your cousin is getting married and you're seeing it on Facebook because they don't want to tell everybody. They don't want to make noise about it. This you any better. So that's the Yoruba that I grew up to know. So now that you start talking about collaboration, how that Yoruba people collaborated to create wealth for themselves, I think I'm beginning to have a change of mind that okay, we can actually, we were actually united in a way. But I want to question the homogeneity of the Yoruba nation today. Now, what is that thing? Do we still have unity among the Yoruba people? I'm from Ondo State. Some people are from Ijesha, Ijebu, there's even Ijebu Jesha, all those things. Even I grew up to hear my grandma tell me that as a Yoruba person, don't marry someone from Ijebu. And I'm thinking, I thought we were one. I thought we were the same. Even among Yoruba, let's not even talk about the other tribes. Even among the Yoruba people, how united are we? I know that geographically there's unification, but in the real sense of it, do we really have unity? Because we cannot talk about all these things if we're not really united. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, talking about propaganda and so on, we already have in place institutions, instruments for propaganda. We're just not using them. There must be up to 100 self-determination groups. There must be up to 100 self-determination groups in Yoruba land. Groups of young men and women, who are meeting all the time, talking about the Yoruba Nation and so on and so on. If those people alone were to take a decision that from now on, what part of what we will be doing is to tell parents everywhere in Yoruba, let your children speak Yoruba, teach your child Yoruba. If they are to say that, if they were to, all these there are many, I have met many of them. They send delegations, oh, we hear you are back in Nigeria, sir. We want to come and meet you. So we come and meet you, and so on and so forth. And it used to be the case that, whoever, a person like me will sit, if you come and there is a meeting, you must provide money for them to travel and so on and so on. So they know now that if you are going to see Prof Akintoye, is not going to give you anything. Because when I was young like that, and we were putting things together, we fought. We fought. In 1965, we fought to liberate our region, and we did liberate our region. Nobody ever called me in any corner and gave me anything. So why should young Yoruba boys who come to see me today on behalf of our nation, why do they expect me to give them anything? That's the beginning of change. You're changing. People thought, oh, they will not come, and they come to see me, nevertheless. They come to see me, they invite me to their meetings. They trouble me with their meetings, and I go. They don't give me anything, I don't give them anything, other than the words of my mouth. That's change. Why can't they begin to go around? Why can't they begin to go around and say, ordinarily, a group of young people who are dedicated to do that can cause a lot of change. Listen, a lot of the behavior of people is because they perceive that that is what will benefit them. They perceive that it is good for their children to learn English, and that learning Yoruba with it will obstruct their learning of English. If people were to go around telling them it is not so, it can change a lot of things. That's propaganda. In fact, that type of propaganda is more powerful than the one organized by government. Because it is the little kids in the environment who belong to some self-determination group who is coming back from his meeting and saying, Mama, English. That can change a whole lot of things. That's the other one about Yoruba and unity. It depends on what you use to measure what is called unity. There is no human group in the world among whom there is no suspicion. There is no such group on earth. Do your things privately, don't make too much a noise about yourselves. That's a universal human caution that you will hear in every. When Yoruba no way from Yoruba, they go to see any human society in the world where the mother will not tell her son that don't make too much noise about yourself. So when you show, doesn't show lack of unity. That's not lack of unity. What is unity is a more subtle thing and a more powerful thing. For instance, wherever you find Yoruba people, there is a strong sense of pride in their culture and their histories. That's the meaning of unity. That's a strong sense of pride. In Washington, D.C., Yoruba people gathered together and created a school. One, so that every Sunday they can go there and learn in Yoruba language. Express to Philadelphia, express to Dallas, Texas, express. That's unity. That's it. Those are the things that are important as measures of unity. Or rather, and I don't want you to, because I'm pertinent to things. They don't, those things don't measure unity, don't measure sincerity either. You know, how many Yoruba people anywhere in the world don't have work with one fee at the Yoruba? I don't think so. I've never met any Yoruba person like that. And I've been all over the world. Met Yorubas all over the world. You know, I landed in Manila, Philippines once, and the television showed me arriving. And by the evening, my hotel was filled with large numbers of Yoruba, many of them university professors and so on. They wanted to talk to me, they wanted to see me. They had seen the news item on the television, and they wanted to see me, they wanted to talk to me. There was one little, tiny looking boy who says, I'm from Ekiti. I said, where are you from? He said, I'm from Iselba. I said, so what are you doing in the Philippines? How did you know there's a place called the Philippines? How did you get here? From Ekiti. So he started, I said, I don't know what faster. You know, they come out of school, they move to school. So after the joke, so I said, what are you doing here? He said, I'm the dean of the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Manila, Philippines. Say that again. He said, I'm the dean, sir, of the Faculty of Engineering at the university. I said, you work again? You know, then he laughed. He said, yes, sir. Yeah, we are all over the place. We are all over the place, but wherever we find us, we love our nation. We are proud of our nation. We are everywhere. A website of the University of Pennsylvania, one of the Ivy League universities in America, has this sentence: the Yoruba Nation from West Africa are one of the most traveled nations on this planet. Their blood types and their language are found everywhere. But wherever you find the Yoruba people, they love their nation. We are a highly united nation. Actually, two things occur among all nations. But the unity, the love of your people, of your country, the love of your nation, the worry that your nation is suffering in Nigeria, the question, how are we going to handle this? The question that she has, and every one of you is asking, how are we going to deal with our condition in this place called Nigeria? That's a question that is in the heart of every single Yoruba man, woman, or child all over the world. That's unity. That's the meaning of unity. That's it, my daughter. It is not a little no. So that little things. It happens in all cultures.
We're going to take one more question and one comment. Gigi will also speak as well. We're trying to finish in about 7 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is Prof Banji and I work with the Yoruba Historical Conversations. Mine per se is not really a question, but please permit me to speak Yoruba. I'm very proud of you. I'm from Ekiti. And you know the Yoruba say, I'll speak Yoruba because I want to introduce something to every one of us here. We're talking about what do we do about our culture, what do we do about all this stuff. Sharing Malaysia Odua. Teba was okay. Odua only 20 to 24th floor. Ni okay 23rd. a ní tá à ń pè ní Hall of Fame àti museum. Olórí iléeṣẹ́ wa nìyí tó wà ní ìjókòó. Kí ni nǹkan tá à ń ṣe ní iléeṣẹ́ Oòduà? Àṣà wa, ìṣe wa, ìbílẹ̀ wa, àfẹ́kọ̀ọ́ parun. A ní ètò lókè níbẹ̀. Ẹ má àwọn ọmọ yín wá, ẹ sọ fáwọn èèyàn, ẹ wá wo àṣà Yorùbá, ẹ wá wo ìṣe Yorùbá, ẹ wá wo àwọn èèyàn jàǹkàn-jàǹkàn ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, the movers and shakers of the land of Yorùbá, of the Yoruba land, they are all upstairs there. Come and see it for yourselves. And then another contribution, sharing gbogbo wa lálẹ́ bí o. Kò sí ẹnikẹ́ni tí ò lẹ́bi nínú. Nígbà tẹ̀yìn àtẹ̀mí bá jáde, tá a lọ pátí, tá a lọ ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì, tá a lọ mọ́ṣáláṣí, a fẹ́ kí gbogbo àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ wa, a fẹ́ kọ́ máa rí àwọn ọmọ wa gbé léèbù, àbí ìṣe bẹ́ẹ̀. Àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ wa máa sọ pé kọ́ máa sọ kí ni mọ́tò. Èmi àtẹ̀yìn, àbọ̀ ṣọ́pùráìtì, òkì ń bẹ́ẹ̀lì àbí fáwọn ọmọ wa lókè mi. A lọ ra kọ́sítà. You understand all those things? So you and I, we are actually the ones that are killing the culture and the tradition of the Yoruba race. If we go back to our homes and we try to revive the culture with our own, if we start right from our own, then I believe that it will keep on going down the line. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, not just to speak, but to be here to listen to Prof talk. I thank Dawn Commission. I'd like to, by way of commenting, say that the possibilities to connect, to interact, to dialogue has never been made easier than it is today in the days of the technology and science. And I hope that maybe next time this program can be streamed live, and then we will have advertised it 2 weeks at least, continual advertisement on social media platforms, that if this mixer connected to a laptop will give you free live streaming at livestream.com. It means that people in America will be watching us right now, and they might even be able to ask questions. And then we can have a place where people can also post subsequent questions there. I do that for, my name is Prof Banji. I work for the University of at the Media Center, but I also moonlight as a writer, Secretary of Pen Nigeria, and as an actor once in a while when my hands are free. You said something about going back to Oyoye, and passionately about even building a university there. That begins, that's tickles something in me. I love the power of agency. I know that people have got to rise up and do something. Everything that we're talking about here is about connecting our aspirations to some power of agency. So I suggest, I suspect that there is a group of people who are identifiable, who can do this. I'm curious because much of what you're saying, the only person who acts and could do something is government. And each time anybody says government here, you're almost saying that Tabati Mele was your here. What kind of government we have? It's not that. Yes, Tabati Mele was your here, was your here. So the kind of government that we have, and the kind of political structure as agency that we might have had in the past. As a young man, I was particularly brought up at a point in time. Because tomatoes are not going to come from the north. We will start there. We did not even have anything to handle what you can call food sovereignty, according to Professor Ibele. Food sovereignty. Sovereignty is not just about space, about land, about culture. No, food sovereignty. And I'm bothered about the European who think that Yorubas haven't done a lot. I asked them, our forefathers, who devised a way of turning issue into Yoruba? The intricate science behind knowing that if you soak yam in water for a certain number of days, and you bring it out, you zone it, you dry it to a certain level, you pound it, you sieve it, you boil water, you roll it in it, something that you can eat comes out of that. We have not been able to invent anything in this age and time. And it just boils down to the fact that we have not got a thinking elite. Or those who think amongst us are not allowed to move near the source of power. I wouldn't know how much Dawn Commission can do, given its political, historical antecedents and the connection to its economy. But there might be, of course, there must definitely now be something beyond the Dawn Commission, a development agenda, an agenda, a manifesto, a document that the Yoruba people can go. It's about capturing all these aspirations in some capsule that we begin to produce in simplified copies, just like people read Zalesmara or any of the Thomas Hardy's novels in primers. Some kind of agenda. So if they say, it's the same Yoruba people, Yoruba governor stood up here and said, you cannot teach history in a Yoruba state. No, what animal did that. That's about some of them don't have an idea of what to do. They don't understand this perspective. A Yoruba child studying engineering, studying architecture, who understands the history of his people, will know how to channel his innovation. So the kinds of things that he wants to do. So if you remove history from all that, there's nothing that can do. In the what I'm proposing is beyond what the platform of Dawn Commission can afford us. How do we begin to build these small capsules of people? Can we set up small groups of Yoruba literature development or historical associations in our primary schools? It doesn't have to be in the curriculum. We can have this in universities, in the polytechnics, in secondary schools, in primary schools. Something outside the box of what Dawn Commission can give us. That's just like
part of the reasons why we're doing this having these historical conversations is to bring us back to what we are and who we are. And like I said in my opening remarks, to make it count and use it as, the driver towards, our destination. Now, we learned a lot about what we are and who we are. And I think significantly for me, it was very dramatic when Papa was talking about how Singapore was expelled from Malaysia. They actually got so fed up of Singapore and they expelled Singapore. And Singapore used that rejection as the basis to rebuild the kind of country that we are talking about today. Possibly the country with the highest per capita income in the world.
With the best educational
system of earth. I've had the opportunity to listen to the Minister for Education in Singapore, in Abuja. He said it's so simple what they did. No rocket science about it. It's very possible, it's very doable, especially with the kind of people that we are, that Baba has described here today. There's no rocket science about it. It's just for us to find the mechanism to organize ourselves and push ourselves along the lines that the kind of people that we want to be. Now, Singapore was expelled, and Professor Olaniyan alluded to it to say that it's not likely that we're going to be expelled from Nigeria. If for any reason Nigeria would like to continue to have the Yoruba Nation within itself. But I think we need to create perhaps what I describe as an expulsion mentality for ourselves in Yoruba land. Let us begin to see ourselves beyond Nigeria.
As if we've been expelled.
As if we've been expelled from Nigeria. When I was speaking to Baba, I'm going to take a bit of time, so please permit me, oblige me. I was speaking with Baba earlier in the morning, and I told him that in 2012, I attended a summit in Asaba, where Professor Wole was the guest speaker, was the keynote speaker, and he said that he had told himself that he was no longer going to join the call for national conference, restructuring and all of those things anymore in Nigeria. And I haven't heard him say anything about it since that time, 2012. He said because all we need to begin to think about now is what is described as our development autonomy. Because really, that is what federalism in itself presupposes. He said we need to begin to look at ourselves and think about development autonomy. He said, what are those things that Nigeria is not stopping you from doing? How much of it are you doing? I ask us here, as Yoruba people, as people of the western part of Nigeria, how much of what Nigeria has not stopped us from doing are we doing? Olowa wrote something about the tactics of the People's Republic. I think for us here, which is part of our thinking here on a continuous basis, is the strategy and tactics of our development in Western Nigeria. We need to have it at the back of our mind that is what we are pursuing. What is the strategy and tactics of our development, regardless of Nigeria? Having in mind that expulsion mentality. And then it talks about modeling and refining the strategy and creating the methods that will enable us to succeed. I'm putting all of that here because that really is the work that we need to do. Because, you see, we've become rabble-rousers, Yoruba people. Last week I had to disconnect myself from the internet, from Facebook. Because all I see, all I hear every time is people talking about the problems, the challenges, the issues, without ever talking about how we're going to make progress. And I read something recently about the state of Israel. They said, I think I wrote it down somewhere, that the gift, the biggest gift that the state of Israel has given the world is the gift of dissatisfaction. That is dissatisfaction, the disappointment about who they are or what they lost, their loss, the dissatisfaction about their loss that has propelled them to become an innovative people. If we are dissatisfied with who we are, with our lot, rather than complaining, whining, grumbling, and talking about it all the time without looking for solutions, I think it should be a propeller for us to become more innovative about our issues. So now we've got to take a decision that we want to quit complaining and grumbling about Nigeria. Because Nigeria is not going to stop. Nigeria is going to continue if Nigeria remains the way it is, unless we are determined to get ourselves out of this morass that Nigeria continues to throw at us. Nothing is going to change. The western part of Nigeria is not going to change from Abuja. It's going to change from here. It's going to change because we have agreed that we are prepared to change and move forward. So I have decided that I'm not going to join the people who continue to trade blames and point fingers at other people. Because there is so much that we can do, there's so much within us that we can leverage to get to that place where we want to be. With specific respect to our history and our language, we have told ourselves and we've been speaking to our governments, even if we are not going to be tested in YHC, if we are not going to be tested in JAM, we are not going to be tested in NECO, there is nothing in Nigeria's constitution that stops us from putting history in our internal curriculum and ensure that if you don't pass history in Yoruba land from our schools, you are not going to make progress. If you don't pass Yoruba language, in fact, it is in the Nigerian educational system that children should be taught in the language of their environment. It's there. If you go to school in Anambra State, it doesn't matter where you're from, you'll be taught Igbo. You know? So some of those things, nobody is stopping us from doing it. Nobody is saying we cannot put history on our curriculum. The only thing is that they will not test us. YHC will not test us. JAM will not test us. But we can put it there. We can put our language there. We can put anything we want to put on our curriculum. And part of our conversation.
And put a value on the certificate.
And put a value on the certificate. Part of our conversation here is that at the education roundtable that I discussed with you in the morning, we have told ourselves that we are going to set up our own regional assessment system. Okay? There is nothing in the Nigerian constitution. In the north, they have IJMB. And nobody has disturbed them from having it. Nobody has. There is nothing in the Nigerian constitution that says that we cannot have a regional assessment system, or what Professor Waya called monitoring of learning achievements. There is nothing in the Nigerian constitution that says that we cannot do it. And we have said that we are not going to allow anybody else to speak to trust their language into our own space. It's not going to be examination success anymore for us in the Southwest. It's going to be education success. Because there is a difference between passing an exam and getting a proper education. Okay? So it's going to be learning achievement, it's going to be education achievement rather than examination achievement. Examination is important, but this one size fits all curriculum and everything that is pushed to us is not letting us produce the kind of people that we should produce from our education environment. Now, again, Mrs. Oni spoke about how far we're carrying this message. It's part of the reasons why we try to bring diverse set of people so we can harvest ideas, we can harness their own thoughts about how we can do this. Yes, what has been said here today will travel. It will get to the government space, but like Baba said, be careful what you do within that environment. If it is too long, they won't read. If it is too voluminous, they will not read it. Do you understand? So you've got to create different strategies of getting your, but first and foremost, we need to build a Yoruba people that is oriented towards their own development. But then, we can begin to set up the kind of government that we want. We can begin to put the kind of government that we want into place. Okay? The kind of government that we want now is not from us, or that we have now is not really from us. We want to create a Yoruba society that defines its own kind of government, that defines its expectations, that defines its own, the manner with which they want to be governed. All of that is very important. So we'll do a lot as far as advertisement is concerned and propaganda. We'll get a lot of that from here, and we take on board what my brother Mr. Ewela said. We've tried to do, in fact there was a time we were planning Agbagowo Yoruba, which was supposed to be an annual program, to bring the SDGs, the market women, the people at that level, to bring them together so that we can be speaking our language and they can hear us and they can take some of these things that we are talking about into their different communities. But like they say, we have to, we have to work within our means. But I would like to say something in closing. Dawn Commission is an opportunity for the Yoruba people. It is indeed an opportunity for us to rebuild. There is nothing that is hampering us here. We have no political leanings. We have no political affiliations. Okay? What we do here is about the development of this space. That's what we think about every day, every time. However, if Dawn Commission will succeed, it is not going to be because the government is supporting what we are doing. It's going to be because we can build a community, a coalition of willing people from within our own society and from the diaspora community, the private sector, our entrepreneurs, the money class, people from across diverse spectrum who are willing to support what we are doing at the Commission. If you don't have that, if you depend on government to take us to to that place that we all desire. It is not going to happen by then. They have a very short-term orientation in terms of thinking, even at the best of intentions and the best of times. Their orientation is very short-term in nature. The average governor wants to win the next election. You understand? So they only think about, the best they can think about is viability. But we need to begin to think beyond viability. We need to begin to think about sustainability. Because it is sustainability that would keep our development track on an ongoing basis as a going concern. If we think the way they think, and we think it is, like I told about this morning, if you tell the government, if you tell the average governor to plant cocoa that will grow when he's no longer the governor, he's not going to do that. So he would rather listen to you when you talk about cassava or maize, because those ones can grow within a very short period of time. So that's the way to think. So if you want to put your development agenda in the hands of that community alone, you'll be wasting your time. So we need to build a coalition that will make all of these things that we're talking about possible. Thank you for listening to me, and I will ask
Thank you very much. We're going to close now. I would invite, I'm sure you've been hearing the men talk. I said I invite Simisola and Jim Yusuf to come and give us a vote on this. Simi.
Earlier today, when Mr. Sher came to meet me and asked me if vote was going, I'm like, oh, I just want to come and do things. I mean, there's so many older people here, and there's so much I have to learn. But when Baba was speaking, and then he talked about how in Yoruba land, the younger ones are allowed to speak as well as the younger. So I became calm. I'd like to say thank you to everyone on behalf of the Commission for coming today. Thank you very much, Baba. When you were speaking, I remember this tale that I was told some years ago about a lion who found himself among sheep, and he began to behave like a sheep. He did not know who he was, and so he would behave like a sheep. When he sees lion, as the sheep is running, he will be running with them. Until one day, a big lion saw him and was wondering, why is this guy running with the sheep? And then he pounced on the lion, and then he's like, oh, let me go. And then he dragged the lion to a stream and pushed him so he could see his reflection in the water. And then the lion realized that he is actually a lion and not a sheep. Thank you, Baba, for showing us.
So the lion is caught in the street now.
Thank you very much, sir. And I believe that for us lions that have been redeemed, now we will go into the pasture and go and look for other lions scattered who have lost their identity, and let them know that they come from a culture of excellence, they come from a culture of responsibility, and there's so much more that they can do, there's so much more that they can be. One thing that shocked me very much today was when Baba said he had a book that was going to be coming out in a few months. I'm like, at this age, what are you doing? And so I know that, I mean, we're going to have many testimonies from this platform. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, sir, for sharing from your afternoon and knowledge. We appreciate it. Thank you for honoring the invitation. Have a wonderful time.
The little girl touched something in my heart. In 1962, our war in the Western region came crashing down. Some of us, I was just a young undergraduate. I just graduated from university, and I was preparing to return to Ibadan for graduate studies when our world came crashing down. We became like second-rate citizens in Nigeria. Our leaders were in detention everywhere. Chief Awolowo was in detention and ultimately in prison. One night, we had a students' rebel. Current students are not part of the students' union, but the students' union was having a rebel, and I was saying, little Yoruba girl who looked very much like the girl who just spoke. And she stood in front of the congregation, that's in front of the assembly there, in Trenchard Hall, and sang a song. And a few of us who are living troubled times left the hall and we said, listen, there's future, there's a future, there's still hope. Everything's down. We are, as a nation, flat on our face today, but we will revive. Did you listen to that girl sing? It's surprising how little incidents can touch big things in the life of a whole people. And I hope that Yoruba people will see that little girl on their television or whatever and hear her, because I believe she will touch a lot of hearts. I am very happy to have had the opportunity. I want to thank you, Debo. I thank the Commission for giving me the opportunity to share with you today. We are a great nation. Well, being in Nigeria creates a wrong impression. We are a great nation. We are in Nigeria at least 50 million Yoruba. How many nations in the world, how many countries in the world are bigger than 50 million? How many countries in the world are as big as 50 million? Of the countries of Europe, of the 55 countries of Europe, only 5 are really bigger than the Yoruba Nation. Russia, Germany, France, Britain, and Spain. We are larger than all the rest. We are bigger than the population of Switzerland, Holland, Belgium, and so on, all put together. There are 53 countries in Africa. Only 3 are bigger than the Yoruba Nation. Egypt,
Ethiopia.
South Africa. No, we are bigger than South Africa. South Africa is only 48 million. We are 50 something million. And Congo-Kinshasa. We are bigger than all 52 countries, every one of the 52 countries of the African continent. There are 240 countries in the United Nations. Only 21 are bigger than the Yoruba Nation. Some of the biggest and most powerful countries in the world are smaller than we are. Canada is one of the richest countries on earth. Canada is smaller than the Yoruba Nation. We are about 52 million. Canada is only 36 million. We are a great nation. Let's know who we are. And let us build our expectations on the basis of that. And not build it on the expectation of a country that is telling us that we are small. We are not small. We are a big nation. And so, we have spoken today, and I want you to hold to your heart what we have said to one another. The questions you've asked me and the answers I've given, I cannot give all the answers in the day of our getting together. It is you yourself reading. Find out more about your nation. Tell your friends to do the same. So it's over now and we must go. But let us go and regard each one of us regard himself or herself as the new seed that is being planted in the heart of the Yoruba Nation. Especially large meetings, bringing people from all over the country. Okay, ordinary you alukore fẹ tẹbá jẹ ní nura ẹ má jẹ olùwà o láti tẹbá jẹun tẹgbàgbé ó jẹ ohun tá à ń jẹ bí ilé ni ẹ má jẹ ẹgbàgbé o olùgbà tàkì.